Well, I guess we can get going with the talk. First off, thanks so much for joining. My name is Kanja Karl. I am a technical account manager here at Epic Games. Just briefly about me, I've been in the industry for 20 years now. Started off as a C++ programmer at Rockstar Games San Diego, then did marketing on Call of Duty at Activision, then did marketing at Zynga. Had the crazy idea, do a mobile gaming startup with some Zynga friends for about 5 years. Then did developer relations at Unity for mostly mobile developers, and was very happy to join Epic as a technical account manager last year. We're here to talk about Epic Online Services for mobile games and mobile developers. So why don't we hop into it? First off, Epic Games, as you know, makes tools to build epic experiences. Unreal Tournament, Gears of War, Fortnite. Then we share those tools with everyone. Epic has a long history of empowering creatives, starting with Unreal Engine coming out in 1998. Actually, in the mid-2000s, I was a game programming professor at NYU. We used Unreal Script to teach object-oriented programming principles to the students there. It was very cool. One of the students actually got a job at THQ Chaos in New York quickly after. So it's a great example of Epic and Unreal, allowing developers to, reach their aspirations. Some other highlights: the Epic Games Store released in 2018. If you can believe it, it was that long ago. And Epic Online Services rolled out in 2019 and 2020. And of course, Unreal Engine 5 came out in 2022. It continues to make really awesome looking games. I'm sure you saw the Witcher 4 demo, just gorgeous. So first off, to set context, let's talk about the elephant in the room for mobile game developers. It's a jungle out there. That's the reality. I lived it for the past 10 or 12 years or so. There's fierce competition. There's dozens, if not hundreds of mobile games coming out every single day. There are challenging, rising acquisition costs, and the eternal question that your teams must answer: what's the lifetime value of your users? Is it more than the acquisition costs? Are you profitable? As a former mobile gaming startup founder, I knew that it was all about trying to increase the odds of success. There's no guarantees, but by saving time and money, it helps increase the odds. Epic Online Services does just that. It lets you focus on making the most awesome, unique, successful mobile game possible. So let's hop into a little bit more. High level, Epic Online Services, it allows you to ship and scale for free. I think that's a pretty good price. An open and modular set of online services for games. It gives developers the freedom to distribute their games anywhere, gives players access to their friends everywhere. Even space, the final frontier. These, I'm just kidding, but you get the idea that it is ubiquitous. To talk about the major categories within Epic Online Services, or EOS for short, there's game services that let you ship everywhere, and Epic Account Services that taps into a massive community of players. We also have the sister product, Kids Web Services, for developers that want to manage youth audiences at scale. So let's get into a little bit more detail on the game services side of things. First off, it lets you launch across all major platforms using the same backend with the engine of your choice. Mix and match any backend services and account systems, and you know that you can scale. This is technology used by Fortnite, so you know that it's very well battle tested. So first off, in the multiplayer category, we have sessions, lobbies, networking, and voice services. And then in terms of player progression, you can store and track player progress across platforms. That's very key, across platforms, with stats, achievements, and leaderboards. In terms of operations, you can track game analytics and manage game updates on the fly. If you're a mobile game developer, you're doing live updates all the time, so this is very important and key. For moderation, apparently there's some toxic people out there on the internet that play video games. I really had no idea. I'm sure I've never experienced it, but we do have moderation tools to help reduce that toxicity. with player reporting and player sanctions. Player sanctions is basically putting people in a timeout, letting them chill out before they come back into the community. Let's move on to Epic Account Services. Fortnite and other EOS titles have helped connect over 850 million players and billions of friend connections that developers like yourselves can leverage. You can be confident that players that use Epic Account Services will have friends waiting for them to play with. And we all know that playing with friends increases the stickiness and retention of your mobile games. EAS can be standalone or alongside your account systems. Many big publishers have done just that. It's open, cross-platform, and ready to use on all major PC storefronts, consoles, and mobile devices. So starting on the left-hand side, you'll see identity, one account, single display name across all ecosystems. You have a persistent friends list, that's very important, a persistent friends list across platforms. And of course, the idea of presence. No, not Santa Claus presence, but online presence. To know that if your friends are online, you're able to, I got some laughs there. You can know your friends are online and can invite them to a game. So let's look at a concrete example. You look on the right-hand side here is the social overlay. It's basically the visual manifestation of our account system. Shown here is a PC game called Midnight Ghost Hunt. I just wanted to call out, the social overlay is not yet out on mobile. It is coming out later in the year though. The API, however, is available now. So if you're okay with building your UI now, you can do that, or just wait until later into the year and we'll roll it out for mobile. So if you ever played on your Xbox, you hit the Xbox button, you have your friends list on the left-hand side. We did something crazy. We put ours on the right-hand side. I know it's pretty crazy. And so that's a look at the overlay. One thing I did want to call out, if you look at the list, you can see that there's different platforms represented here. So it is cross-platform. You will see people, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, all in one list. The other thing that's key is that we recognize the certification requirements for each of the different platforms. Anyone who's dealt with the certification requirements, that it's very time consuming, so we basically save developers a lot of time by already understanding the certification requirements. Let's get into another example. This is Remnant 2 on the PS5. This is just simply showing how easy it is to add an Epic friend. I wish it was this easy to add friends in real life, but I digress. The one thing I wanted to call out here, though, is that it's a consistent UI from Xbox to PC to PlayStation. So your users can, basically understand, okay, this is the same experience across a platform. So we really push hard for that consistency. One of our favorite first-party titles, Fall Guys, of course. This is a zoomed-in view on the achievements list that you're able to access via the overlay. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about the relationship between EOS and developing in Unreal. EOS is engine agnostic through C and C# SDKs. So it works with any game engine, game platform, and storefront. Epic provides the EOS online subsystem in Unreal Engine if you choose to develop in Unreal in conjunction with EOS, and that'll help you speed up development. Third-party plugins for EOS are available on Fab. That's formerly known as the Unreal Engine Marketplace, and plugins are also available for other engines. So let's talk about technology strategy for a moment here for your company. We believe that Epic Online systems can be at the heart of your online services strategy. We recognize that other services will exist. In this example, let's say only Kids Web Services on the bottom right is Epic owned. But let's say that the dedicated servers and the bug reporting is actually another company. We built EOS to work well with other types of services, and we work closely with other service providers to make sure it all works together. OpenID is a good example of an open standard and protocol that we support. What other providers do you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked that. So here's a list, engines, storefronts, platforms. You'll see PC, VR, mobile console. We all work with, with these providers. Speaking of consoles, I successfully pre-ordered a Switch 2. I spent 2 hours refreshing 5 websites every 5 seconds and successfully did it. So once I get back home, I'll be picking that up. I feel like a level 10 dad, honestly, so I'm feeling pretty good. Just one thing about the relationship between game services and account services. Of course, you can use game services with Epic account services, but it's totally your choice. We're trying to optimize for flexibility on the developers, from the developer's point of view. Okay, it's getting a little bit more detailed. Let's dive into the game services. High level, it's open platform independent set of backend services for your online game. It's designed to integrate with every major platform and account system. There's no lock-in, and it's fully extendable. At the top, you'll see with multiplayer, we offer sessions, lobbies, voice chat, and peer-to-peer networking. In terms of progression, account linking, again, cross-platform, player data storage, stats, achievements, and leaderboards. So you can start the game on mobile, you get a few levels in, get some achievements, you can move over to the console or PC, your progress is preserved. This is basically the expectation from players nowadays, so we can help support that. In terms of moderation, as mentioned, we have player reporting and player sanctions. I did want to take a moment to talk about easy anti-cheat within the moderation section. It is only for PC. Out of all the services here, they're all mobile, but easy anti-cheat is PC only. But I would say Rick Dice yesterday had a fantastic talk that'll go online about easy anti-cheat. It is robust and well vetted. Huge games like Apex Legends, 2K25, Halo Infinite, Rust, Marvel Rivals, they all use it. So if you have any questions about easy anti-cheat, come up and we can connect you with the right folks. Lastly, in terms of operations, I wanted to call your attention to title storage. So a good example of title storage is Message of the Day. So this has been used to massive success in games such as Fortnite. So basically, you hop into the developer portal, craft your message of the day, and boom, it goes out to your entire community of players. Obviously, super helpful. If you have server maintenance happening, you need to let the community know. Hopping to the other side, we have Epic account services. Again, reach hundreds of millions of players, billions of friend connections. Starting from the top in terms of accounts, we have account management, account linking, again, cross-platform, so you can have linking across Xbox, Steam, and PlayStation. Your friends list, as I mentioned, a consistent friends list across platforms. The ability to send game invites, obviously super important to be able to play with your friends. And in the overlay that we saw, you can also access your settings, your profile, and the UI itself. So you put it all together, forming Voltron. You can see it's a very robust set of services. There's a lot out there, and it's all free, like I mentioned. Cross-platform, we also have the Epic Game Store services on the bottom, and the kids' web services, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I did want to take a moment for those who want to dive deeper into multiplayer development using Epic Online Services. Take a look at this QR code. This is a great talk by Ryan Maloney, creating scalable multiplayer experiences with Epic Online Services. This is right from October, from the Unreal Fest in Seattle. So very recent, excellent talk. Ryan does a great job. There's also, entire playlists for all the talks for Unreal Fest Seattle with lots of information. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about Epic Games accounts in Crossplay. You can tap into, obviously, hundreds of millions of players, as I mentioned. Fortnite has been a pioneer, to set context, in making it the norm for friends to play with each other across platforms. That wasn't always the case, but Fortnite has made it the norm. You have friends on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, it doesn't matter, you can play with them. So we wanted to make sure it's easy for you as developers to achieve the same goals. We have done the work to develop native platform integration for game invites and joinability. And this is across Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. The one thing I want to call out is that we follow their native platform trust, safety, and privacy guidelines, again, to save developers time, because it can be time consuming to adhere to all the guidelines. So a few things to know. Please use EOS SDK 1.17. It is required for Epic Game Store publishing and mobile checkout. 1.17 is the SDK you want to use. Again, Easy Anti-Cheat is a PC-only product. And auth has its own mobile flow, so please see the mobile auth documentation. What's coming, as mentioned, the social overlay, the Toast achievements later this year. As I mentioned, the API is currently accessible if you're up for building your own UI, but if you want to wait for a little bit, we'll be rolling that out for mobile developers. There will be mobile samples coming out also using EOS later in the year, so you can sink your teeth into the samples and experiment there. We'll also be releasing debugging symbols, which is obviously key to any type of game development. So let's hop into some specific examples of how mobile games are using Epic Online Services. Years ago, someone said, let's make a game with ill-tempered dinosaurs with friggin' lasers on their heads, and Ark was born. A few years later, they said, let's bring that over to mobile, and Ark Mobile Ultimate Edition was born. So here's a shot of the home screen of Ark Ultimate Mobile Edition. You can see it's very, seasonal and topical. This is very Easter themed. We all know that mobile game developers were at the forefront of doing seasonal events to help engagement, to help retention, and eventually monetization. So Ark is doing that here. You can see all the different options here for what players can do at the home screen of Ark. But let's take a look at the services that Ark decided to use. So everything highlighted here is what they've done. So in the top left, multiplayer, they use sessions and voice chat. In terms of progression, they used player data storage. And in terms of moderation, they use player sanctions. Then in terms of Epic account services, they use account management, account linking, and login. So let's walk through the flow that you would experience in Ark or in your mobile app. So if you're already logged into Epic Game Store, let's say on your mobile device, this will automatically pop up. It says, hey, do you want to confirm your Epic Games account? You say yes. Then it'll ask, hey, do you want to use Ark Ultimate Mobile Edition with your Epic Games account? You say yes. Some magic happens under the hood. Then boom, you can start playing multiplayer games. So this is their session list that you see in Ark Mobile. Here you can see the session name, the map, the number of players, the ping times, and the game modes. Obviously, as developers, you're going to choose how much information that you want to show to your players. Moving on to a second example, fan favorite, Among Us, very, very popular game. They've had millions and millions of downloads on Google Play, Apple App Stores. They're on PC and VR as well. I've gotten to know the Innersoft and Shell Games teams very well the past year. They're fantastic. My kids love Among Us. They introduced me to a song called I Know It's You. It's a melodic metal song, if you believe that, focused on Among Us. Listen to it 200 times like I have, so it's fully bored into your brain. But one thing I did want to say, I wanted to shout out to the Shell Games team. They just released an update for Among Us 3D, which allows them to have the same player pool as the Among Us VR players. So Among Us 3D and VR players have the same player pools, better matchmaking, you can get at games faster, so kudos to them. I also wanted to call out that Among Us was not built in Unreal, but they did choose to use Epic Online Services. So let's hop into the list of services that they decided to use. So you'll see on the left-hand side, in terms of progression, we have account linking, achievements, and stats. Then in terms of moderation, we have the player reporting and player sanctions. and in terms of Epic account services, the account management, linking, and login. What's really important for Among Us, as I mentioned, my kids love the game. They use kids web services, which you'll see at the bottom here. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about kids web services. I think we all agree that we want to build safer digital experiences, for our children. Again, I have young kids. I want to make sure that they have safe experiences. Youth data privacy laws are complex, however, and they differ globally. Our AgeGate service helps developers and parents navigate that complexity. Parent verification helps manage global regulations and is designed to minimize data collection. And consent management allows parents to make decisions about their children's online activities. I did want to call out that KWS is the most widely deployed parent verification solution in the market, with now over 28 million parents verified. Also, it is used by some heavy hitters in the industry. Fortnite uses it, so that's one. Niantic uses it for Pokemon Go and Pikmin Bloom. It's also used by Lego, Electronic Arts, 2K, and of course, Innersloth and Shell Games. So why don't we look at the flow of using KWS within Among Us? So you'll see Among Us there faded in the background. First off, it's, you ask the question, sign into your account. Do you want to save your progress across platforms? Do you want to, use chat, which is key to strategize, in the game? Then you go to the age verification step, all very, very simple. You type in your birth date. Okay, permission is required. Please enter your parent or guardian's email address. So all very, very simple steps that you would see in-game. But then once you, submit the email address, this flow is what parents would see, okay? So we're starting on the far left. First off, they would get this email that says, hey, your child is asking for permission in Among Us. What I want to call out here, though, is within the email, it's using the Among Us branding. So, whatever game you're using KWS with, you can include your game's own branding into the email to manage that communication. So it's not a surprise to the parent. It's not a surprise to the kid. We all know it's coming from a game that they're actively playing and want to play. Then if you move into the second image there, you can see that you can choose the various, permissions. Once you go to the third step, the adult has to verify via face scan, credit card, ID scan to make sure they're an adult. And then lastly, you get the confirmation screen. The one thing that I want to call out with so many millions of parents already verified, you only have to go through the verification step 3 here once. Once you're verified as a parent, you just quickly go through the flow. There's much less friction. So there is a benefit to using KWS among your products to have that less friction experience, for the parents. The last game I wanted to talk about is Netmarble's Solo Leveling Arise. This is imminently actually coming out on the Epic Games Store on mobile, so we're very excited to be working with Netmarble. They decided to use all our account services and the Epic payment system. You might have also seen Mongo Stardive from Netmarble being featured at the State of Unreal just yesterday. So we're really thrilled to partner with them. If you don't know Solo Leveling, by the way, it is one of the biggest anime series right now. It has over 600,000 reviews on Crunchyroll. That's more than the mighty One Piece, which has over 1,000 episodes. So kudos to the Solo Leveling teams, working with Netmarble to release this, pretty good looking game. It's actually on the expo floor if you want to come check it out. So I'm going to talk about a little bit, taking a step back about the Epic ecosystem for mobile developers in general. So the marketing team just released this website maybe a month ago. It's all about getting started with mobile development using UE. So you want to take a snapshot of that QR code. It's a fantastic resource. I went through all the content. I think I highly recommend it if you're getting your feet wet. Some of the examples of the topics are building a low overhead mobile project. That is obviously very key for mobile developers. You need to have the app size as small as possible to make sure people actually download your game. mobile rendering tips, optimization tips, debugging information, Android and iOS specific resources, and also how to package up your game to ship on the various platforms. So definitely check it out if you're getting your feet wet with UE mobile development. I also wanted to bring attention to the Epic Game Store. First off, on the mobile side, we released the mobile Epic Game Store in January, so we're pretty thrilled with that. But high level, to talk about the Game Store, it's built on the premise that Epic can deliver a viable alternative to the incumbent storefronts on PC and mobile. Believe it or not, there are over 70 million monthly active users on the Epic Game Store, and roughly half are playing third-party titles. It's not just Fortnite, so you can rest assured there is an audience there, so definitely think about it. To dive a little bit deeper into the details, I want to focus on the far left here. That's our standard 88-12, developer split. You get 88%, Epic gets 12. But just a month ago, we made a very, very key announcement. We said that there's going to be a 0% royalty, that's 100% to you, on the first 1 million per title per year on the Epic Game Store. So per title per year, that's pretty key. So I have a fun little example. We're going to do a little math here. So if you made $951,428 in 2025 on the Epic Game Store, you'd keep all of it. Then in 2026, if you made $951,428, again, you'd keep all of it in 2026. So that's $1.9 million with no rev share to Epic. Now, if you were on different storefronts that took a 30% cut, you'd end up with $666,000 per year. Not only is that a lot less, it's also the number of the beast. So definitely think about publishing on the Epic Game Store. It can help out on the business side of things for your mobile title. Lastly, we are boosting Epic Rewards, if you look on the far right, from 5% to 20% for all Epic Game Store purchases using Epic's payment system through August 31st. So quadrupling the rewards there. Basically, if you haven't experienced it, it's more money in the user's wallet that they could be spending towards your games. So we're excited about both these announcements. So just a couple more slides here, just summing up about Epic Online Services. Again, it works within many workflows, many engines. You can ship on every platform simultaneously. You get to keep control of your game and player data. It's months of programming simplified. Saving time and money is obviously very key for any mobile game development team. Again, you can ship and scale for free, and you can use all of our services or only what you need. In order to get started, on the left-hand side, you need an Epic Games account. You probably already have one if you played Fortnite, but it is required to get access, to the various services. Once you have the Epic Games account, you hop into the developer portal. All the configuration for Epic Online Services, the Epic Games Store, and more are there. You can manage your organization through memberships and role-based access. Last but not least, of course, we have the Epic Online Services SDK. Again, 1.17 is what's recommended right now. C and C# SDKs are available across many platforms. And it includes development and test tools and redistributables to enable the Epic overlay, again, coming later this year on mobile. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to thank you for the time. Take a snapshot of the QR code. There's a lot of fantastic development resources that we have there. A couple more URLs that you might want to take a picture of. There's a lot of information out there for you to develop. But want to thank you for the time, and also wanted to invite folks to come chat. I'd love to hear what you're working on. There's a lot of Epic folks here in the crowd. Love to hear about your mobile projects on UE. So thank you.